This is the Canon RF 24-105 f2.8, but who is this even made for, and is it maybe you? Recently, I had the chance to go hands-on using this lens across a couple shoots to see if it was something that really fit into my already existing kit. Now, I'm very familiar with the 24-105 f4 lens, the original EF model, which I used as a workhorse for many years. I'm somebody who likes shooting at a slightly lower aperture, so the f4 was fine for that. And I liked having the extended range over a 24-70. But sometimes I would need a little more light. So is this the answer to that problem? And potentially some others. Let's get into the actual specifics of the lens, and then I'll talk about the different ways in which I would use this lens, and ultimately if I think it's right for me, and maybe if it's right for you. So the lens itself has an 82mm filter thread. This is great if you're already used to a 24-70, as the 82mm thread is pretty standard across most lenses. This is different from the 28-70, which I also tried out. Reviewed that is up here. That has a 95mm thread that is nearly impossible to find filters for, and if you do, they're going to be quite costly. But with an 82mm thread, you can buy the largest version of most screw-on filters, and then you can just adapt them using step-down rings to your other lenses. There are 4 rings across this guy. You have your RF control ring that you can assign to whichever setting you want to adjust. If you want to change your ISO, if you want it to do different settings, you can adjust that accordingly. I don't find I use the control rings too often, but I don't have too many RF lenses, so maybe as I use them more, it will be something that I get used to. Then there is the focus ring, zoom ring as well. Lastly, there is an aperture ring, which is declicked, which is amazing because this is a lens I can see being used for a lot of documentary or run and gun filmmaking. Which means you can do an iris pull where if you're going from somewhere really bright to really dark or vice versa, you can change the iris to change the exposure without that incremental step down that you would see from a traditional photography lens. Then there is the tripod collar, as this is quite a heavy, long lens, so it's a bit of weight on your mount. So tripod collar is always good. I usually just move it out of the way, or I'll pick the camera up by it. Then you have your focus distance. You can either use the full range or just go from 1 meter to infinity, which is a little quicker if you do that. AF to manual focus, stabilizer on or off, and there are 3 levels of stabilization. If you're ever wondering, the first level is your general or all-purpose stabilization. Your level 2 is going to be if you're panning. So if you're shooting automotive or anything where you're going to be panning with a subject, this is going to allow for more horizontal stabilization, and it won't worry too much about up and down or any sporadic movements. Otherwise, it's just going to focus horizontally. Then you have level 3, which is good if you're shooting a lot of action where you're going to be moving in and out quickly, and the stabilization will mostly turn off until you're quickly moving the camera. So you can use the different stabilization methods accordingly with the work that you're shooting. Then obviously the RF mount. This thing is a bit of a beast. It's more traditional in size to like your original 70-200, but what I love is all the zoom mechanics are inside the lens. So you don't have that bit protruding and coming back like other zoom lenses. Having used this, I did do some comparisons with my EF 24-105. I do find they are pretty similar in terms of image quality, which is to say they are pretty great. This does focus pretty darn fast. I do find it to be focusing a little quicker than the 24-105 f4. And at f2.8, it is still pretty sharp across the board. At wide open, you do lose a bit of sharpness compared to when you stop down to about f4. This might be just a hair sharper than the original version at f4. That said, this is still a very sharp lens, especially for a zoom of this particular range. There's no real complaints from me in that department. I've used this both for video and for stills. Part of the reason I've been looking at this lens is I figure I shoot on the 24-105 quite a bit, but I just want that extra extended exposure range. But is this the answer to that solution? Or do I go with something like the 28-70? Or do I just stick with a 24-70 and then use a 70-200 the other rest of the time? I still use my 70-200 quite a bit, but I'm not using it terribly often. It always comes with me in my kit in case I do need that extra compression. But if I were to have one lens in my kit, it would probably be 24-105. Except I just wish I could get a little more exposure out of it, which is then where I turn to this particular lens to see, can it solve all my problems, or at least photography related? We won't get into the other problems I have, but can it solve those problems and be essentially the one lens to rule them all? After using it for both still and video shoots, it could very quite possibly be that. My one and only complaint really is that if you are to mount this on a camera without stabilization, say if I were to put this on my EOS R, or like I had on the Canon C50, the compact cinema camera similar to the FX3. If I were to have it on that and mount the camera on a gimbal, now the gimbal I'm using currently is the Xenon Crane 2, so it's a little long in the tooth at this point. But mounting it on that, I am pretty much pushing the range of what I can get out of that gimbal. If you're using a newer gimbal, you're probably fine, but the weight and the balance is something to take into consideration. It is not a light lens, and although the C50 is a light body, this is going to be a lot to carry around. If I were carrying this around me all day, I think I would eventually be fine. I might notice it initially that it's a little on the heavier side, but it's not so much that my wrist is going to be killing me at the end of the day, which makes it therefore not a deal breaker in that department. I can still balance this on a gimbal. The only thing is the motors are going to be working a lot harder and I'm going to drain the battery quicker. So that's something to take into consideration, although you still can do it, which having a 2.8 zoom of this range on a gimbal is huge to be able to do that. The other benefit is you're not going to be dealing with so much of the balance issues that happen when you put a stills zoom on a gimbal, because when that barrel comes out, it's pushing the weight forward and then you have to rebalance the gimbal depending on where you are in the zoom range. Whereas this being internal, although the mechanisms still move, you're not dealing with as much movement. So the balance isn't going to change nearly as much as it would if that element is actually coming out past the natural resting point of the lens. With all that said, does this meet the needs of my photo and video work? Because I am somebody who I would consider to be a hybrid shooter. So this would be something that I would love to have, the one camera that can shoot stills and video, and throw this on it and be good no matter what. And honestly, having used it, it might just be that answer. At, I think Canadian, this is about $4,000 right now. So it is not a cheap lens. I did rent this to test it out for a couple projects, which is something that I do recommend you do if you're looking at getting new gear, because I'm starting to weigh different options to see, do I want the 28-70 f2? Do I want this guy? Do I want the 28-70 f2.8? Do I just want to stick with a 24-70 f2.8? Which lens? What the heck is going on? And this honestly might be that perfect lens. If you're somebody that is a hybrid shooter, you shoot a lot of stills, shoot a lot of video, but a lot of the video that you do shoot is run and gun in nature, or you're using smaller cinema cameras, but you also shoot stills at the same time. And if you're like me and you run around quite a lot, you're getting wide shots, you're getting close-ups, and you don't want to waste a lot of time on set, then maybe this lens is going to be worth it for you. With having the wider aperture, it can save you getting a couple prime lenses that would exceed the cost of this lens and take up more space in your kit. Don't get me wrong, I love primes as much as the next person, but I find for my workflow, I gravitate more towards zooms, especially for run and gun video and for stills, because it saves a lot of time. And I'm somebody that I'll move my feet, I'll zoom in, I'll zoom out, and get a range of shots pretty quickly. And this allows me to do that. And if it allows me to do my job better, then that is something that is worth it for me. And having that extra stop of light is something that helps me do my job just that little bit better. And if you want that little bit blurrier of depth of field as compared to the 24-105 f4, then maybe, just like me, maybe it's worth your time and the upgrade. But that's my 2 cents on trying out this lens. I hope you enjoyed some of the samples of this that I shared as well. If you have any experiences with this lens, let me know your thoughts down below. If you're new around here, consider subscribing to join along this journey with me. Remember, as always, to work hard and rest often.